The day that many AEW fans have been waiting for is finally here, as Andrade looks to be a free agent, free from WWE's clutches of a non-compete, and free to continue something that he started in quite controversial fashion when Andrade appeared and returned to AEW back in September. It came as a shock to everyone because he had just been released by WWE. He was fired with cause, and apparently at the time it was thought that he was free to sign wherever he wanted, and AEW came to terms with him seemingly very quick. He appears on the 6th anniversary episode of Dynamite, attacking Kenny Omega, aligning with the Don Callis family, and everyone believed that this was building towards something big, a match of the ages between himself and Kenny Omega. And then he disappears, and we don't hear a lick about him. We don't hear anything from him for quite a while, until the news reports begin to cycle in that Andrade was not only under a non-compete with WWE because he was fired with cause, but that non-compete could have stretched for as long as a year, meaning that Andrade not only violated his non-compete with WWE to appear on AEW TV, voiding his AEW contract, but if he ever wanted to appear for the company again, it wouldn't be until September of 2026. A wild state of affairs. We also had some other reports of Andrade contacting lawyers. There was also reports that WWE were reaching out to him to try to see if there was a way to bring him back into the fold with the company that had just fired him. But it all culminated in a recent turn of events where Andrade and his legal team were able to negotiate down that non-compete, meaning that Andrade, as of the week of December 20th, is indeed a free agent. He appeared at a Hog Pro Wrestling show recently in New York, and also now is free to join AEW whenever the two sides can come to terms. And Tony Khan has spoken about this very briefly on the Ariel Helwani show, basically saying that he would be inclined to bring Andrade back, and that door is open whenever Andrade is able to do that. And now that he is, the possibilities for AEW are really high here, because you have a situation with Andrade that caused so much of a ruckus, so much of a controversy, that drew so many eyeballs, that I think AEW has the ability here to try to make it work in their favor. In modern professional wrestling, it's very hard to create these like majorly controversial moments because in a lot of ways, there is no more of a forbidden door. A lot of these companies work with each other, and the very few times you do get them, a lot of times people see it coming. Think about CM Punk returning at Survivor Series 2023. Yes, it was a shocking moment, and it was cool to see, and it was big, but at the same time, people have been talking about that for months. And I think similarly, Andrade has the ability to return to AEW in a very cool way if AEW chooses to do so. I think AEW needs to kind of reignite this controversy with Andrade a little bit. And whether that's through some mentions on commentary, whether that's through a story that they tell with Andrade being a rogue element, attacking people backstage or in the ring and not officially being a part of AEW, I think those are the ways that would make this interesting and ultimately culminate in an epic return and matchup with Kenny Omega, because you have all of this baggage, all of this history now to work with. You have a entire scenario that played out over a course of a couple of months where his entire future in pro wrestling was not certain. So for AEW, the question is, how do you capitalize on that uncertainty? use Andrade in those situations I described earlier. Use him as a vessel for a lot of these online conversations that much of your fan base leans into, and make it must see and make it a key part of Andrade's character. One of the things that held him down, I think, definitely in his AEW run and also in his return to WWE, was that the Andrade character did not have that much of a foundation. If his foundation can be this renegade figure who is unpredictable, a bit of a loose cannon who could leave the company at any time, I think there's a lot of interest in that. And you can't go all the way with it. You can't do the whole Brian Pillman thing where you let him go his contract or anything crazy like that. But there's elements of that are genuinely real with Andrade. Remember, he's a guy who tried to fight Sammy Guevara backstage as a way to get fired from AEW. He's a guy who, did whatever happened in WWE to get fired from there. So there's a bit of a track record with Andrade being that type of figure. So I would say lean into it. It is by far the most interesting thing about Andrade. It is one of the few things that fans have been able to connect with him about. It is one of the few things that have made fans care about him. And that, combined with a figure like Don Callis, who is able to generate the most heat of any manager in the modern day, I think could be huge and could propel Andrade to heights that nobody really expected. And we have seen AEW do similar things as far as rejuvenating characters and giving life to characters that we never thought would be able to. Ricochet is one name that comes to mind recently, and I think the potential to do something like that and rejuvenate Andrade is there. It is just a matter of the direction that AEW takes. If AEW takes the route that is interesting, that is going to get clicks, that is going to make fans tune in to see what the hell Andrade is going to do, that would be epic. But on the flip side, if AEW just decides to have him do one big return and then do matches with no character development, then I think they're doing a disservice to not only Andrade, but themselves and the fiasco and controversy that they were enthralled in over the last couple of months. But in the end, I guess we'll see.